All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we are going to be diving into the world of deepfakes.
Oh, yeah.
As always, we have a limited amount of source material, so we are going to try and stick with what we have.
Oh, okay.
But we are going to try and dive deep into this whole concept of what a deepfake is
Yeah.
and how it works,
Okay. Yeah.
and why you should care about it. So deepfakes, as you may or may not know, are hyper-realistic, but totally fake media. So it's like you're seeing something that looks real and sounds real,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Right.
It was never created. It was never
Yeah.
filmed, nothing.
It was generated.
It was generated
Yeah,
by
yeah.
AI. So maybe you've seen this online, with like
Yeah.
a politician saying something crazy.
Yeah.
Or like you see a celebrity appearing in a movie they never actually starred in.
Right.
It's becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah.
And it's only going to continue to grow as the technology gets better and better.
Right.
So how about we start with, kind of what is a deepfake? Like how do they even work?
Well, they basically, it's really fascinating how they blur the lines between what's real and what's fabrication.
Right.
So we're talking about generating content that never actually happened, and doing it with a sophistication that is increasing exponentially.
Okay, so it's like, so when we say generating, it's not like someone is like editing footage. It's like it's being like created from scratch.
It's created from scratch, basically using artificial intelligence.
Okay, so it's not like just like Photoshop on steroids. It's like
Yeah.
a totally different concept.
Yeah. It leverages this subset of artificial intelligence called dup learning. And so imagine feeding a computer thousands upon thousands of images and videos and audio clips, and then the computer then learns patterns and relationships within that data.
Okay, so it's like teaching a computer to recognize what's real and then saying, okay, now use that knowledge to create something new.
Exactly. So it can then generate new content based on what it's learned.
That's incredible and kind of scary.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that like a computer can just create a video
Yes.
of someone doing something that they never did?
Exactly.
How, what?
So the technology is based on what are called neural networks.
Okay.
And specifically, these are called generative adversarial networks, or JANs. JANs. And so these networks work by pitting two AI models against each other.
Yeah.
So you have one that is generating the content, and then you have another one that is trying to detect if it's real or not.
Okay.
And so this back and forth process pushes both of these models to become more sophisticated.
Oh, I see. So it's like...
And that leads to increasingly realistic deepfakes.
It's like an AI arms race.
Yeah.
For creating and detecting fakes.
That's a great analogy, yeah. And as this technology evolves, those deepfakes are becoming much harder to spot.
Right.
Now, early on, there were telltale signs that you could see,
Yeah.
unnatural blinking or weird lip movements
Right.
or inconsistencies in the lighting, but those are becoming less and less obvious.
So how can we tell if something is a deepfake? Like, are there certain things that we should look for?
Absolutely. So one thing to look for is flickering around the edges of a person's face.
Okay.
Or unnatural movements, like in the jawline. Also, pay attention to the audio.
Okay.
Does the voice sound robotic or slightly out of sync with the lip movements?
That makes sense. So those are some things to look for, but it sounds like as this technology gets better, it's going to be harder to spot with just our own, eyes and ears.
It is.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that deepfakes kind of blur the lines between what's real and what's fabricated. What are some of the implications of that?
Well, deepfakes have the potential to be incredibly useful,
Okay.
but also incredibly dangerous. So on the positive side, imagine personalized learning experiences,
Right.
where you could have historical figures answer your questions directly,
Right.
or consider the potential for accessible media for people with disabilities,
Right.
where voices can be recreated or translated in real time.
That's interesting. Yeah. But I think a lot of people are probably more concerned about the negative side of this. Like, what are some of the things that could go wrong with deepfakes?
Well, the potential for misinformation and manipulation is huge. Think about a fake video of a world leader making a provocative statement
Right.
or evidence fabricated to discredit someone in court. These scenarios are not far-fetched.
We've already seen deepfakes used to spread misinformation.
We have.
So it's not like this is something that's coming in the future. It's already happening.
It's already here. That's why critical thinking is more important than ever.
Okay. So what can we do?
We need to be skeptical consumers of information, especially online. We need to question everything.
Okay.
Look for corroborating evidence and always consider the source.
It's like we need to develop a whole new set of digital literacy skills
Exactly.
to figure out like how to navigate this online world.
You got it. And that means understanding not only how deepfakes work, but also the motivations behind their creation. So, who benefits from spreading this false information? What are their goals?
Right.
Asking these questions can help you determine the credibility of the content that you encounter.
This is really fascinating stuff. It's also pretty alarming because so much of our lives now
Right.
happen online.
Right.
And if we can't even trust what we're seeing or hearing, where do we go from here?
It's a challenge,
Uh,
but it's a challenge we need to face head on. The rise of deepfakes forces us to rethink how we consume information and how we determine what's real.
okay, so to kind of wrap things up here, what are some key takeaways that our listeners should know about deepfakes?
Deepfakes are a powerful and evolving technology.
Okay.
They can be used for good or bad, and detecting them is becoming increasingly difficult. The most important takeaway is this: be critical, be skeptical, and be aware.
So it sounds like awareness is key here.
Yes.
Like just knowing that this technology exists
Exact.
and that it can be used to create these fake videos and audio is like the first step in protecting ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. As always, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
And as you go back out into the world and you're browsing online and you're seeing things, just keep in mind what we talked about today. Think about what does the rise of deep fakes mean for our understanding of the truth? And what responsibility do we have as individuals to make sure that we are not contributing to the spread of misinformation? So with those thoughts in mind, we will see you on the next deep dive.
Take care.